So hello and welcome to this week's angling vlog. This week you join me out on the bank and we're in search of roach on the waggler. So over the past couple of weeks I've been sat there at my desk in the morning getting a couple of projects over the line. In my mind though, the reward at the end has always been a day out on this beautiful reservoir. The reservoir behind us does hold some quality roach, and I'm hoping today to make contact with the roach that do live in this venue. More recently there has been another reason though why I've been super excited to get out on the bank. In the bait shop a couple of weeks ago I seen this bad boy, a 6-gram waggler, and ever since I picked it up I've been looking at it in my tackle box thinking I can't wait to get out on the bank. It just looks perfect for this venue. A big open reservoir fishing for roach. You can see I've already got the rod in behind, and as you can see on screen now, a couple of roach are already topping within waggler distance. So before we do get into the fishing, I want to say a huge thank you to everybody that leaves a like down below, leaves a comment and subscribes to the channel. We recently passed 18,000 subscribers, so thank you all very much for the support. If you are new around here, my name's Danny, and every Friday at 6 PM we put a new video on the channel. Before we get in the water, let's have a look at the baits we're going to be using today. We'll be nice and positive and feed lots of this bait today, corn, and if we're on that bait, hopefully we'll be getting them quality roach. But some maggots with me as backup, and I am really just going to use them as a hook bait. If we're using that bait, then we are struggling, you know, but we've always got it as a backup. And then the main bait that I always use on here is lots and lots of hemp. There isn't a roach in the land that doesn't love hemp. We've got lots of it today. On the theme of hemp, you know on the channel, if you're a regular, I always cook my own hemp. So something a bit different today. Got the prepared stuff. And I always do cook my own hemp, but I picked up a couple of jars of this from Hinder's, and we'll be giving it a whirl today, most definitely. So we're out on the water, and what a beautiful place to be. There is something magical about being stood in the water, whether it's a river or a reservoir. The mist just coming up. There's plenty of fish topping around us, you can see there. And we are very much in the shallow part of the reservoir today. Along the down wall, depths 10, 15 foot, probably 20 foot, 30 foot in places in the middle. And normally we do target that deeper water. Today you can see, fishing about that deep. I'm just going where that shadow is there in front of us. So starting off, I'm going to be nice and positive with the hemp. Not going really far out, because obviously I want to try and get these fish as close as we can to us. I do know it does deepen as it goes out, so the aim is today is just to draw them fish in. You can see this fish topping all the way around us, and the mistake I made last time I think was I wasn't positive enough, because at the end I did put a lot of bait in and started getting a few bites, and there we go, the first fish. It's taken probably less than a minute to come, so nice start to the session. A nice start. And one thing on here I'm never too worried about is a slow start. It does take some time sometimes just to get them in. And so we had that fish, but we've also had that grebe go through, and sometimes it just can take time to get them fish into your swim. It's a massive reservoir. You've got to be nice and positive, and the key is just to keep that bait going in. Even though you're not getting bites, it's all about trying to draw them fish in. The fish on here go round in big shoals. You've seen that this morning. You know, you only see a few of the shoal topping, but just how much of an area they were topping over. So if you get a shoal and them fish move in, you know, they can really eat, and that's what you've got to try to attract in. You've got to give them a reason to come to you. You can see there, we've been feeding positive. There we go. First better quality one. Mr. Perch. Good to see. That's coming right over that patch of bait, that one. Another perch. Roach was the target, but we do seem to have a shoal of perch in the swim. So I always do chuckle when I catch a perch on here, because It just shows how nature has its own way of doing things. Back in the day on here, when I first started fishing it, it was carp and roach, and you did get the odd tench in this area, but perch didn't really feature, and there's no pike in the venue at all. And it just shows how nature can find a way of doing things. There are quite a few perch in the venue now, and some nice ones. It's taken a while to get the first proper bite into a nice fish here. Just stuck at it, kept on putting that bait in, tried to remain positive. It has been a bit of a quiet start to the session, most definitely. And this is a roach. It's a very good one. Either that or I've spent too long at my desk. And it's a tench. I did say this area was renowned for them in the past when there was weed on here, but and can you beat it on the banks of a reservoir fishing for roach at first light, the sun just coming up. It looks like we made contact with Mr. Tench. Lovely and rare on the venue at times, but the swim was quiet, and then all of a sudden that float disappeared and we're into a beautiful reservoir tench. And a beautiful morning on the reservoir, first light, stood in a reservoir fishing for roach. What a beautiful result that is. A wild fish from a reservoir. So there we go, what a beautiful wake up call that is. Well worth getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning for, and yeah, not the roach we come for, but I'll never complain at catching a tench. Super rare in the venue, you don't catch many of them, but this is the area that you can get them. A beautiful start to a morning. Before we get back out there and start targeting them roach, we've caught everything but roach, haven't we, so far, but I'm sure they'll come. There are those in the comments sometimes when I'm on here that say, you know, what if you hit a carp and stuff like that, but I always do behind me have the net set up. You know, if you hit a tench or a carp or a, you know, a big perch or something like that, the net is always behind me so I can just come back and get it. But for most of the fishing, I just love to bring them roach to hand and just drop them in the keep net. It's taken a while to get the next bite, so much so I turned the GoPro off, but I think it's another perch. And I think we're gonna have to stay on corn to avoid these guys, but he's a much better one. Where is Mr. Roach? So it has been a bit of a slow start, and I'm a great believer in just sticking to what you know works and keep it on going, and hopefully them fish will turn up. They always have done in the past. You've got to remain positive, and that's, I think, the first to the second roach of the session. And I've fed no maggot at all into the swim, just using it as a hook bait, just corn and hemp over the top. And if that's the quality we're going to get, the average stamp, if they do move in numbers, we'll have a good day. It does feel like there's one or two fish started to come in the swim now, getting a lot of knocks on the float, and before I was getting lots of time to feed after casting in. You see, I mean, nice and positive. You can see there, bites coming really quickly, and you just know when the fish are in the swim. It's like an arrival just happens, a bit like on the river when them dace come in. But you just got to keep on feeding to get that shoal to come in. And now there's one or two fish out there. That's a beautiful average stamper roach, and there are better stamping in, and if they move in, we'll have a really good day. But just catching them all day, you put together a nice net. Remaining positive, and we're getting the results now. go. Corn definitely seems to be the bait. When you move over to maggot, you just don't seem to get the bites as well, which goes to show. And if there's quality roach like that about, you can stick on corn all day. And there are plenty of signs when you're getting it right. Obviously the float keeps going under, but when you've got your setup right, where you hook your fish is a good sign. And all these fish are just getting hooked in the top lip or just inside the mouth. I've hardly had to use the disgorger today, so that tells you that you're getting it right. So while the rod's out of the water, we'll take a look at the setup. I've got my Preston Innovation 17-foot rod, and I've got 4.5 pound line on an Axis 2 reel. And that's down to a float adapter from Corn. Dead simple to use, 2 rubbers, and that plastic goes in the middle. Makes it dead easy to change your float. We've got a couple of Dinsmore shot locking it in place. Got one number 6 dropper on the line. That's down to one of the Corn ready-made hook links. And on the hook I've got a piece of corn. And that is why I feed so heavy with the bait, because yeah, there are them 8-ounce roach and there's lots of them in here, but then there's them better quality ones, and these are the ones that we want moving in really. These are the quality fish that I'm feeding the corn for. I reckon it'd be a bite of chuck on maggot if we fed it over the top, but these are the quality fish we're after, and because of the lovely colours in its gill. You can't beat the sight of that float dipping under. And yeah, these roach now really are on the feed. There's no sign of Mr. Perch anymore, most definitely. Or Mr. Tench for that matter, but they are a bit rarer. And good to be out on the bank, and he's heading for shore, this one. And there's plenty of quality arrived now. We've remained positive. We've fed really heavy. Have you seen that hemp at the start? We're getting through it. And we're feeding nice and positive. Now we're getting the results. And as always is the way, I've got my camera behind me filming a bit of B-roll, and we've had an absolute crumpet of a roach. That is what you come for. That tench this morning, and now that is the fish of the day. And that's why I feed heavy, feed corn, to try and attract these fish into the swim. That's a crack of that. And when I set out this morning, that is what I had in mind. Crumper roach on the waggler. With that nice simple setup, lying about an inch on bottom, just settling nicely that float, and we're getting the bites not long after that float settled now. And some lovely roach coming to the net. These fish definitely have rocked up now. You see there, we've drawn them closer in. Gentle cast now, and they're just right on that shadow there. And quality fish. I'm thoroughly enjoying myself, and now you've just got to keep them there. We've put all the effort in this morning, feeding it heavy and waiting for this shoal to arrive. And now they're here. The key is to keep feeding and keep these quality fish in the area. And that is the beauty of silvers, just how you can manipulate them to where you want to catch them. You can see that hemp is putting a oil slick going out now. It is actually making it nice. It's breaking that ripple up a little bit and letting me dotting down that float really low. But yeah, like on the rivers, you can just move that shoal closer to you. It really is a bite of chuck now, and we'll have a nice net at the end. These quality roach now are just coming one after the other, and this one started heading out the swim taking line, and I thought it was a carp to begin with. But yeah, great fun on light tackle on the waggler. So some sessions on the bank you just don't want to come to an end, and today was definitely one of those sessions. It was a bite of chuck towards the end just out here, and then real quality roach did turn up. That does bring the session to an end now, and the school run does beckon, and all that remains is me to wish you all tight lines in your own fishing, and I'll catch you all next week. Tight lines.